The Hall of Famer, Warren Moon, joins me now. Warren, great to see you, buddy.
Always great to see you, Matt. Just sorry we're talking under these type of conditions. I'd like to be talking about something a little happier right now in Houston.
Oh, man, I know about that. But controversy. You were familiar with it with the owner of the Oilers, Bud Adams. Now it's the ownership of the Texans that everyone is riled up about. You came here to be, in part, to be with your old coach in the CFL, Hugh Campbell. Of course, that went south and he was gone. So you know what that's like. Jerry Glanville becomes the head coach. Can you relate a little bit what's going on in the front office with the Texans and Deshaun?
Yeah, I think it's just that mistrust and you felt like when you came to Houston, one of the reasons why was because of my coach Hugh Campbell being there, that he was going to be given a fair chance to build the football team. And a year and a half, I don't think is enough time to do that when you're a team that was 2-14 the year before I got there. So I was a little dejected about that and felt a little bit betrayed by that. But I put on my big boy pants and I kept moving forward because it was an opportunity for me to keep being in the National Football League. So I tried to make the best of the situation. But there's no question I was unhappy during that time and thought about wanting to leave.
Now, if you had the opportunity like Deshaun has right now, would you have pushed for it?
Well, it all depends. It's hard to say what I would do in this situation. I don't know everything that Deshaun has dealt with over the last 4 years that has kind of come to this conclusion. I've heard a lot of the things that have made him unhappy, but there's probably more than what I even know. Especially when it gets to the point where you don't even want to have a discussion with the owner about moving forward. You've already made that trade request weeks ago, so it's probably pretty bad. So I guess I have to agree with Deshaun if he feels this strongly about wanting to leave and go somewhere else and get the best out of his career, because some of his years have been wasted since he's been there in Houston.
Well, did you feel that some of your years were wasted kind of the same way?
Well, I definitely feel that the first few years in Houston were wasted with me, just from a coaching standpoint of what I was being asked to do. I was asked to do things that weren't in my skill set, that didn't get the best out of me. And once we made some changes with our offensive coaching staff, now I started to become the player that everybody thought I could be. So yeah, I understand that. I don't think that's his problem. I don't think the way he's being used is his problem. I think it's just the way they're building the football team that's going to be around him is the problem. And he wants a competitive football team. He's used to winning. He won a national championship in college. He was in another national championship game. Even in the short time he's been in Houston, they've been to the playoffs a couple of times, have won the division. So he wants to keep going that direction. And it doesn't seem like to him that's the direction they're trying to go.
Yeah, Warren, people ask me about, okay, just like James Harden, James wanted to get to a contender. And I always counter with, no, it's not. No, James wanted to go to a contender. I understand, but this is different. Deshaun, James was talking for James when he was
Right.
going through this. Deshaun is talking for his teammates. That's a lot different perspective that he has. Yes, he got a huge contract. He's speaking on behalf of his teammates.
No question about it. He would have got that contract anywhere by the way he's played, but he does feel bad for his teammates because he knows those guys work hard out there, but he also knows there's not enough talent out there to be competitive in their division and be competitive in the AFC to get to a Super Bowl. So he wants that, and he doesn't think it's going to happen there in Houston with the regime that's in place right now.
Yeah, and that is it's just so troubling to me. It seems like a simple fix. Just take care of it and communicate better. And here's I really feel bad for David Culley, the new head coach. Uh, from all accounts, great guy, really good offensive mind, and he gets stuck in this situation, and it really has nothing to do with him.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle for David because this is his first head coaching job. He's never really been a coordinator before. And now he comes into an organization that's kind of in full of controversy. They're not going to have the quarterback that they've had the last 4 years. I mean, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Now he's got to start over from scratch, basically. And that's not the way you want to probably take over your first head coaching job, but that's what he's going to be left with right now.
It sounds like the best deal would be to just both parties move on. But it's very tough, Warren. I mean, when you came, everyone was so excited. But hey, we got a franchise type quarterback here. The Oilers can do great things. The Texans fans were long suffering. They were waiting for this type of quarterback. They finally got one through the draft. They have him on a long-term contract, and he wants to leave.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. I feel so bad for the city of Houston and the fans there because they deserve better. They're used to having, winning football teams and competitive football teams. This team was not competitive this year, and they deserve better. And there's not a lot of Deshaun Watson walking around the streets right now, so you can't just go out and pluck another one from somewhere, even though there will be some other quarterbacks on the market this offseason. But I don't think Houston, because of the way they're constructed right now, is going to be a great destination point for any of those guys to want to go to. So that's the unfortunate thing. They're probably going to have to start over from scratch with another young guy and kind of build this whole thing over again. And I'm sure that's the last thing Houston fans want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Because next year they're going to be playing a third place schedule. Instead of district. Well, I'm talking high school here. Instead of divisional champions like they have been, they're going to play a third place schedule. They could bounce back at this thing if they could get some players on defense. What would your advice be for Deshaun at this point?
Well, I think the thing he needs to do now is try and find a trade partner that's going to be best for both sides, where he's going to be happy wherever he goes, and then also the Texans are going to be happy and get what they need as far as assets, draft picks, whatever it might be, players to kind of help rebuild their football team. And hopefully he'll be looking for a very solid ownership structure, something that he doesn't feel like he has there in Houston as he goes forward, and to make sure that offensive coaching staff is going in the same direction as him as far as what they're doing offensively. And he wants to talk to the general manager too and see how they're going to help build the team that he might be going to, and what their vision is for building their football team. So all those things are going to be very important, because those are the things he felt like he wasn't getting in Houston.
If he withholds his services, I mean, if they refuse to trade him, he'll just have to sit out. That's
just an ugly situation for everybody. Then all of a sudden now the fans are going to be unhappy because he's sitting out, and it's not going to help the football team because you don't have the quarterback there. And every week it's going to be, is he coming in? Is he not coming in? And that's the last thing you want. So hopefully they can get this deal done. It's being early enough in the off season where they have a lot of time to try and figure this thing out. And he's still under his old contract before the new one kicks in next year.
There were leadership problems in the organization when you were here. We referred to Hugh Campbell, Jerry Glanville. We were going down different things. When Jack Pardee got here, great guy. He brings in the offensive system and all that you flourished in. And then Buddy Ryan's punching out offensive coordinators and stuff. I mean, how?
That was that 93 season. I don't know how we ever made it through that season. We were exhausted by the time the playoffs got there, after everything we had dealt with, whether it was Babygate or Kevin Gilbride punching Buddy Ryan or me being benched, or we had a player commit suicide during that year, which was very sad, Jeff Holmes. So many things happened on our football team that year, and we were still able to win 11 games in a row. It was just amazing. That's how talented that team was, but we were physically and psychologically exhausted by the time it was over.
Yeah, can you talk more to that point of just how it weighs on everybody when there's this dysfunction going on?
Yeah, you know, what players have the ability to do is compartmentalize a lot of things and just kind of put things to the side and keep going. But when you have that many things going on in one season, there's not that many compartments in your brain to put all those things. Something's got to be an overflow. And I think that's what happened to us at times we were never able to get to our full capacity because we had so many other things we were focused on, and we couldn't focus on what we were supposed to, which was, you know, football.
Does winning solve everything? Because you guys were winning, you were overcoming it, but I guess the flip side of that is you're just telling me that winning didn't solve everything. It did, you know, it would have been nice for everyone to be able to get along.
Well, it did solve everything throughout the season as far as getting through to the playoffs, and it just didn't feel like it was we didn't have enough left to get through the playoffs because that's where it goes up to another level, and we had to be able to take our game to another level in order to do that, and we weren't able to take our game to another level, and mainly because we were just giving it all just to try and get there.
When you were first traded away, Archie Manning, Warren Moon, Minnesota Vikings, how did that go down? Were you asking for a trade? Did you want out? Did they want you out? How exactly did that happen?
No, that was the Houston Oilers' decision. They called me in and said that they wanted to trade me, Floyd Reese, because of the salary cap situation that it came into play at that particular time. So they couldn't keep me and Cody Carlson, who had signed a contract himself that was a pretty lucrative contract, that they had to get rid of one of us. And because of my age, and I guess they didn't know how long I would play at that level, they went with the shot that Cody was ready to take over the starting job and they could get rid of my salary. So that's kind of how it happened. And I told Floyd that day that I guarantee you I'll play longer and I'll play better than the guy you're replacing me with, but I understand why you're doing it.
Well, at least you understood. And of course, you did. You went on to make Pro Bowls after that.
Yeah, I did understand the business of football. I'd been in it long enough and at that time, I had probably been playing professional football for some 17 years before I got traded. But I ended up playing another 6 or 7. So I had a long career. I definitely got the most out of my career, but I would have loved to have finished my career in Houston where I started.
Yeah. Do you think will there be regrets? I guess it depends on what happens in the future, what he does, how he does with the new team, if that happens.
Yeah, that's going to be the tell-all. Does he go on and win a Super Bowl? And when he's standing on top of that podium, and that's when all the Houston fans are going to say that could have been us, you know, with him standing up there. So it depends, on how successful he is. And it also depends on how successful the Houston Texans are going forward. What if they're the team that ends up winning a Super Bowl before Deshaun? I mean, he'll have that same feeling. But as long as both sides are happy in the end of this whole thing, that's all that really matters. But right now, I know that Houston cannot be happy about losing Deshaun Watson or possibly losing Deshaun Watson here in the next so many months.
Yeah, I mean, the Ohio State quarterback looks like a tremendous player. The North Dakota State quarterback looks like a tremendous player. The BYU quarterback's available, Alabama quarterback. There will be quarterbacks, but as you say, we don't know. We don't know. We know what Deshaun is.
You're right. We have a proven commodity there, and he's shown it year after year. You don't even know if you're going to get in a position to get one of those guys because you don't have any draft picks. So you would hope through a trade you'd get some type of high round draft pick where you can get one of those young quarterbacks or maybe get one of these free agent quarterbacks that are going to be on the market. So we just have to wait and see how it all plays out. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a very interesting offseason with not only Deshaun on the market, but the possibility of other guys as well being on the market. We'll have to wait and see what happens in the NFL this year.
Okay, I can't let you go without giving me a Super Bowl pick. What do you think? The greatest of all time against the greatest current quarterback?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the kid on this one. I think the greatest has had a great run. He does have a really good team around him, and that helps. And I think that's what helped him win that game last week. That defense is for real, and they've been for real of the whole season. But I just think Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City Chiefs team is they're special, and they have so much speed, so many weapons. You're going to have to try and outscore them. And I think their defense is better than most people think.
One more question. What's it like being around such a tremendous organization like Seattle? Your home is in Seattle. You also spent a lot of time here in Houston because so much of your family is down here. Is the contrast, is it a stark contrast between those two organizations?
You know, Matt, I'm really not sure because I haven't been around the Houston Texans organization that much. When I am in town, I'm basically visiting family. We have gone to some games, and they've always been very, very nice and first class to me as far as, making my accommodations available when I want to go to a game or something like that. But the Seattle Seahawks is a first class organization. And that's one of the reasons why they've been so consistent as far as winning, putting a winning product on the field. And they have the fans really, really engaged here. When they call them the 12s, and one of the loudest places to play in the league, in an outside stadium. So there's a lot of good, positive things going on here. I got a chance to do their broadcast for 15 years, and it was really a treat. I got a chance to broadcast 3 Super Bowls. I have a Super Bowl ring, believe it or not. So it's been a great experience, and I know the Texans want to do well, and hopefully they will continue to keep trying to do better. But Seattle is a top-notch organization in this league.
Warren, great to hear from you. Great to see you, buddy. And I love that Hall of Fame picture over your shoulder. I always love seeing that.
I like that one too. And great seeing you as always, Matt. And hopefully we can get together next time I'm in town, because I'm there probably about every month and a half visiting kids and grandkids. I got 7 of them now.
That sounds great.